while Malik Vance, a freelance data analyst who was 26 years old and had tired eyes and a messenger bag that was worn, was debating the advantages of generic instant coffee against name-brand instant coffee. The fluorescent lights of the Philadelphia Mart buzzed with a weary indifference. To those in positions of authority, he exemplified the concept of nobody, since he was unassuming, diligent, and lived just below the radar. Up until the moment when Officers Dobbs and Rourke pulled into the parking lot, like storm clouds sweeping in, his invisibility served as his protection. Malik was immediately recognized by Dobbs, who had a thick neck and a permanent frown on his face. Vance was familiar with the demeanor, which consisted of a predatory scan and a nonchalant evaluation that left him yearning. Dobbs growled, "Evening," as he moved closer to make eye contact. "Waiting around? Or are you just scouting the area?" While holding out his coffee jar, Malik maintained a steady tone in his speech. "Just shopping, officer." A wiry and grinning Rourke jumped in and said, "The messenger bag appears to be quite heavy. Is it okay if we have a look at?" Suspicious behavior is the most likely explanation. Even though Malik's pulse was pounding against his ribs, he had developed a steely calmness over the years as a result of handling microaggressions. He was aware that resisting was a pitfall. "I do not consent to a search," he replied unequivocally, making it apparent that he was well aware of his statutory rights. It was then when Dobbs's hand darted out and grabbed Malik's arm. "We are not inquiring, my friend. Put your hands on the hood." As Malik was being pushed towards their cruiser, his elbow caught Dobbs' utility belt, which resulted in the body cam belonging to the officer becoming dislodged. As the lens turned toward Dobbs's enraged face, it clattered to the ground and settled on the asphalt, a defiance against arrest, assaulting a law enforcement officer. The lie was thick and well-practiced, and Dobbs yelled it out, "Ing." In response to Rourke's attempt to cuff Malik, Malik gently adjusted his weight. Dobbs could be heard hissing at Rourke, "Plant the baggie." His own phone, which was tucked away in his breast pocket, and had its recording software running in the background since the first evening, was able to record the conversation. "The kid has priors? Well, after this, he will still have them." Blood began to run cold in Malik. When he was in college, he received a single citation for jaywalking. Suddenly, floodlights that were so bright that they blinded everyone swept over the area. In the vicinity, a news van came to a screeching stop. In order to produce a fluff segment on late-night shopping, Chloe Sharma, an eager rookie reporter for Channel 7, was there on scene simultaneously. Pete, who was her cameraman, swung his lens in the direction of the disturbance without thinking. With a crackling sound in her headset, Chloe's producer said, "Chloe, we're live. Allow the arrest to proceed." The goldmine of live television turns into a minefield. Chloe Sharma, Channel 7 News, live at the Philly Mart, where police seemed to be making an arrest. As Chloe started, she pressed the microphone towards the drama that was taking place. The moment Dobbs noticed the camera, he puffed himself up and pushed Malik even more firmly into the cruiser. "The man in question has been taken into custody on charges of assault and alleged possession of drugs." Media, take a step back. Malik's crucible was this very place. Fear demanded that silence be maintained, but rage and careful preparation resulted in the ignition of something else. Malik drew a breath that seemed to draw in across the whole night as Rourke went into his own pocket. Malik knew just what he was reaching for, the throwdown baggie. He made eye contact with Chloe's camera. His voice broke through Dobbs' bluster with a striking clarity that was magnified live throughout the city. "Officer Rourke has just been given the order to plant evidence against me by Officer Dobbs. Look at the clip from his body cam." It was a recording of him stating that. There was no sound. His face was completely devoid of color as Dobbs froze. The hand of Rourke was hovering close to his pocket. Chloe Sharma, who had picked up on the seismic shift, came in closer and said, "Sir, did you just allege that these officers tampered with evidence?" A live broadcast. There was no flinching on Malik's part. In the midst of the storm, he became the calm eye. "It is true. I am able to provide evidence. Since they got closer, my phone has started capturing its surroundings." This caught Officer Dobbs muttering the command in a hushed voice. He indicated the body cam that had dropped by nodding. "Where's that body cam, mister?" Throughout this whole process, it has been filming the face of Officer Dobbs. It is going to demonstrate the precise instant that he issued the unlawful command. Live performance of the dominoes fall. The body cam. A tech-savvy producer in the Channel 7 control room, who was viewing the live video, instantly phoned the precinct and demanded access to Dobbs's body cam footage at this same moment. A watch commander who was confused cooperated despite the increased scrutiny from the public. After a few moments, a split screen was shown on live television. Dobbs's own recorded face, which was time-stamped only a few minutes ago, clearly formed the words "plant the baggie." Chloe was present at the spot on the day in question. For the purpose of the phone recording, Malik, who was still restrained but exuded an air of power, instructed Chloe to play the appropriate portion of his recording. Dobbs' incriminating whisper was finally verified by the tinny audio that was beamed across the whole city. "Plant the baggie. Kid has some priorities." Channel 7's chopper, which had been rerouted to the location, zoomed in with its thermal camera to reveal the results of the investigation. The infrared footage showed Rourke's hand, which was blazing white-hot, withdrawing a little thing from his own pocket, not Malik's bag. Millions of people saw the live broadcast of the event. This was obvious evidence that the plant was in the process of being grown. Introducing Malik's knowledge bomb. Malik was not finished. He continued to look directly at the camera as he talked with a terrifying accuracy. The evidence locker records should be checked for item number PHPD 48923. Last month, Dobbs and Rourke were responsible for a raid that resulted in the seizure of a Glock 19. The ballistic report that was submitted does not correspond to the serial number that was registered by them during the seizure of the real pistol. Those firearms were exchanged. You should also investigate the history of the arrests that they made jointly along the 5th Street Bridge on the 12th and 19th Streets. ULL discover medications that have been found with exact purity levels that are statistically impossible to achieve. During the course of many months, he had discreetly interrogated public arrest records, evidence logs, and forensic reports that were available via municipal databases. He had discovered patterns that were not evident to anybody else. During the live broadcast, complete anarchy ensued. Instead of lunging toward Malik, Dobbs rushed in the direction of Chloe's cameraman.
Nice.
As Rourke looked about frantically for a way out, he dropped the baggie. The shocking live video prompted the Internal Affairs Department and the District Attorney's office to activate its resources, which resulted in the sound of sirens. Dobbs and Rourke were ordered to be held and disarmed on the spot, and their detention was shown live on television. Senior cops came with grave expressions on their faces. In the middle of the whirling lights and the yelling, Malik Vance, the data analyst who dealt with nobody cases, stood with his handcuffs released by a very remorseful IA investigator. None of his punches had been thrown. He hadn't let forth a scream. He made use of the instruments that he was most familiar with, which included observation, data, pattern recognition, and the dynamic power of an unexpected live microphone. During the time when the whole world was watching, he had not only brought to light a single corrupt arrest, but he had also provided investigators with a roadmap to widespread corruption. The consequences. Reflections on the truth in the immediate aftermath. There was a seismic impact. In addition to the charges of perjury, criminal evidence, tampering, and conspiracy, Dobbs and Rourke were also charged with fabricating documents. The precise leads that Malik provided sparked larger investigations into evidence locker anomalies and reports that were deliberately fabricated. A comprehensive investigation of all of the cases that involved the two cops in their unit was announced by the district attorney. Within a short period of time, Malik Vance became a symbol of silent resistance and responsibility via the use of technology. Despite the fact that several news organizations want interviews, he only granted one to Chloe Sharma, pointing out that he prioritized systemic transformation before personal celebrity. The information that he painstakingly collected served as the basis for a civil rights complaint and a campaign to demand independent audits of the way in which the police handle evidence throughout the whole city. There was a beginning of momentum for the Vance protocols for data openness in the police department. In no way did Malik Vance wish to be in the limelight. Just now, he purchased awful coffee. However, when he was confronted with the attempt to eradicate him, he did not strike back with his fists. And he fought back with facts, magnified live, demonstrating that in this day and age, even a nobody, armed with the truth and a recording app, is capable of shattering the highest blue wall. Not only was his win a personal triumph, But it was also a live broadcasting masterclass in the art of holding leaders responsible. It had been the system's intention to make him disappear. In its place, he made it hard to disregard the most sinister of its secrets.